chosen one, listen closely, and do not let your eyes leave this message. God warned you twice. You did not listen, and what you are hearing right now is not another message. It is the third, the absolute last warning of this season. Heaven does not repeat itself 3 times unless what is coming is final. The first time, he whispered, you called it coincidence. The second time, he raised his voice through circumstance. You called it stress. This is the third time. He is not whispering anymore. He is not whispering because the season of whispering is over. There is no fourth. Not because the Father has run out of love, but because the door he has been holding open for you is about to close on its own. You are not here by accident. Greeting. Your finger did not move to this message by chance. Something inside you already knows what the first 2 warnings were. Something inside you already knows what you have been refusing to do. Stop. Breathe once. And let the third witness speak before it is no longer in the room. There is an old image I want you to hold in your mind for what comes next. Hold it gently, the way you would hold a flame inside cupped hands. Picture a lighthouse at the edge of a quiet harbor, just as the sun is going down. The water is gray and silver. The sky has that particular color. The sky has only twice a day. Once when the world is about to wake, and once when the world is about to fall asleep. This is the second one. This is the falling asleep light. The keeper of that lighthouse has done this work for 40 years. He knows the boats by name. He knows which ones move fast when the wind shifts and which ones drag their anchors. He knows which captains can still read the water and which captains have lost the eye for it. And most of all, he knows the rhythm of the bell. The bell rings 3 times before a storm. 3 times, no more, no less. This has been the rule since the lighthouse was built. The keeper did not invent the rule. He only carries it. The first ring is soft. It travels slow across the water. It sounds, to most ears, like part of the evening, like the seagulls, like the wind in the sails, like the creak of the wooden docks. Most of the boats hear the first bell and do nothing. They tell themselves it is the wind. They tell themselves they imagined it. They do not lift their anchors. They do not even stand up. The second ring is louder. It carries weight. The water itself seems to feel it. A few of the boats begin to stir. The captains who have been watching the sky look up. But most of the boats, even after the second bell, even when the wind has begun to shift, even when the older sailors are already moving, most of the boats find a reason to stay. They tell themselves, the keeper rings the bell for somebody else. They tell themselves the storm is far away. They tell themselves there is still time. They tell themselves the rope of their anchor is too heavy to lift just yet, so they wait. And then the keeper takes the rope of the third bell into his hand. He does not want to ring it. He has rung it before, on other nights, for other boats, and he remembers what comes after the third bell. He remembers the boats that lifted their anchors at the third and made it to open water. And he remembers the boats that did not. But the third bell is not for warning anymore. The third bell is for waking. The third bell is for the boats that have one last chance to lift their anchors and move toward open water before the harbor itself becomes the danger. After the third bell, the harbor is no longer a harbor. After the third bell, the harbor is a trap. Because the storm enters through the mouth of the harbor, and what was supposed to be your shelter becomes the place that drowns you. You are one of those boats. You have heard the first bell. You have heard the second bell. And right now, in this very moment, the keeper has his hand on the rope of the third one. The only question that matters is whether you will lift your anchor before he pulls. That is what we are walking into together tonight, slowly, carefully, with nothing rushed. Because what is about to be named has been waiting a long time for you to be in a quiet enough room to hear it. Before I tell you what those first two bells were in your life, and I will tell you by shape, by season, by the exact form they took when they arrived, I need you to recognize the residue they left behind. Because the bells did not leave you untouched. They left marks. They left signatures on your body, on your mind, on the patterns of your life. And those signatures are still showing themselves to you right now, today, this week, in the rooms you have been walking through. You may have been calling them other names. That is normal. That is what most chosen ones do. They take the residue of the bells and they file it under names that make the residue sound smaller than it is. They call it insomnia. They call it stress. They call it midlife. They call it being tired. They call it bad luck. But these are not those things. These are the fingerprints of warnings that came and went without being answered. Listen with me. If you have been waking at 3 in the morning and there is a strange pressure in your chest when you wake, and you cannot fall back asleep no matter how much you turn the pillow over, that is not random insomnia. Especially if it happens on nights when you spent the day suppressing something you knew you should have spoken. Especially if it happens after days when you stayed quiet in a conversation you should have answered, or said yes when your whole body was saying no, or watched something happen and did not name it. The body does not let you sleep through what your spirit is begging you to face. The 3 a.m. wake-up is your spirit knocking from the inside. It is the residue of a bell that rang during the day, and you did not lift the anchor. If you have been carrying an unexplained tiredness, the kind of tiredness that does not lift no matter how many hours of sleep you take, the kind that gets worse when you say yes to things you know in your spirit you should be saying no to, the kind that feels like your battery drains faster than it should, that is not burnout in the way the world means burnout. The world's burnout has a clear cause. You worked too many hours. You skipped meals. You did too much. The kind of tiredness I am naming has no cause that anyone can find. You can sleep for 12 hours and wake up exhausted. You can take a vacation and come back drained. That is not burnout. That is your body refusing to fuel a direction it has already been warned about twice. Your body knows where the energy is being spent, and it has begun to ration what it gives you, because it is trying to force you toward a different road. If you have noticed yourself becoming strangely detached from a job, a relationship, a routine that you used to love, and you cannot explain to yourself why the life is draining out of it, that is not depression. In the way depression is usually meant, depression has a kind of gray heaviness that touches everything. What I am naming touches one specific thing, one specific job, one specific relationship, one specific pattern. The rest of your life can still hold color, but this one thing has had the life pulled out of it from the inside, and no amount of effort can put the life back in. That is not you failing the thing. That is your life force pulling back from a vessel that the bells have already disqualified. You cannot will yourself back into a container the spirit has already left. If you have become hypersensitive to certain rooms, certain people, certain conversations, if you walk into spaces that used to feel normal, and now your whole nervous system braces, as though the air itself is wrong, that is not anxiety in the diagnostic sense. Generalized anxiety touches everything. What I am naming is selective. It activates in specific environments. There are certain houses you can no longer be inside. Certain people whose voices, even from another room, set off something low in your chest. Certain conversations that exhaust you in 5 minutes when they used to feel normal for an hour. That selectivity is the signal. That is your spirit recognizing environments the bells have already named as outside your path. The discomfort is not a malfunction. The discomfort is information. And if you have been seeing numbers, repeating numbers, warning numbers, 911 on clocks, 1, 2, 3, 4 on receipts, 1111 everywhere you turn, the same numbers showing up on license plates, on phone screens, on the corners of pages. That is not coincidence. Coincidence does not stack. Coincidence does not cluster. Coincidence does not follow you across unrelated places at unrelated times. What you are looking at is the heavens keying the same code into your awareness over and over, hoping that one of these times you will pick up the phone instead of dismissing the call. Listen to me very carefully now, because what I am about to say is the part you came here to hear, even if you do not realize it yet. If you have seen even 3 of those 5 patterns in the last 6 months, what I am about to say is going to land hard. Those patterns were not the 3rd warning. Those patterns were not the bell ringing now. Those patterns were the first 2 warnings. The 3rd one, the one we are inside of, is the one happening in this very minute, in this very room, in the unusual stillness that has settled over your body since you began listening to this message. That is why your body is reacting the way it is reacting. That is why the words are landing the way they are landing. That is why something in you keeps trying to push past the discomfort to hear what comes next, even though another part of you wants to turn this off and pretend you never opened it. You have not been imagining any of this. You have been more accurate all along than you allowed yourself to believe. The signs you have been quietly tracking, the ones you have not told anyone about, because you were afraid of sounding strange. Those signs were never strange. They were on time. They were the lighthouse keeper ringing the first bell, then the second, and now the third. There is a deeper pattern behind why the bells take these specific forms in your life, why they arrive as sleep disruption, why they arrive as exhausted detachment, why they arrive as numbers on the clock. The reason is older than this video, far older, and we will name it before the night is over. Here is what I am going to do with the time we have together. I am going to walk through this slowly, because what we are dealing with is not the kind of thing you rush. You do not rush a 3rd bell. You let it land. You let the body catch up to it. You let the soul catch up to the body. By the end of this message, 3 things are going to be true that are not true right now. The first thing I am going to show you is the exact shape of your 2 previous warnings, not in a vague spiritual way, not in a way you have heard 1,000 times before in other videos, in a specific way, by season, by form, by the moment in your life when each of them arrived. You will know which bell was the first and which bell was the second. You will know why you were unable to answer either of them in the moment they happened. You will know what each of them was trying to redirect you toward. And once you know, once you can see it laid out in front of you, the strange comfort that comes with knowing will begin to settle the part of you that has been quietly afraid you were imagining all of it. The second thing, you are going to walk out of this message with a framework you can use for the rest of your life. Not a feeling, not a vibe, a framework. I am going to teach you something I call the 3-witness audit. It is a tool you can use to look backward at your own life and identify the warnings that have already passed. So the warnings that come in the future do not have to escalate the way these 2 did. You do not have to wait to be swallowed before you redirect. You can listen at the whisper next time, because next time you will know what a whisper from this source actually sounds like. The framework will travel with you long after this video is over. It is a tool. You will keep it. The third thing, and this is the part you came here for, even if you do not realize it yet, I am going to reveal what the 3rd witness is actually asking from you. Not in poetry, not in metaphor alone, in specifics. And I am going to show you why the 3rd witness this time is not arriving as a voice. It is arriving as something different, something that 2 scientists working in 2 separate decades, in 2 separate institutions, both stumbled into without looking for each other. The reason they both found the same wall is the reason this message is reaching you tonight in this form, instead of in the form you were expecting. I want to be honest about why staying for the full length of this message matters. If you leave halfway, you will get the diagnosis without the door. You will know what your first two warnings were, but you will not have the framework to act on the third one. You will have grief without remedy. That is the worst place to leave a person, and I do not want to leave you there. If you stay until the very end, this is what you will carry out of this room with you. You will know, by name and by shape, what your first warning was. You will know, by name and by shape, what your second warning was. You will have a specific framework you can teach to anyone you love, so that no one in your life ever again has to be swallowed by the fish to remember who they were. You will hear two true stories from two different lives that will let you see your own story reflected back clearly. You will receive a guided activation near the end of this message that seals what you have remembered. And you will walk out with 3 paths placed beneath you, and a clear inner knowing of which one is yours. That is what you came for, even if you did not know you came for it. Lift the anchor and stay through the whole tide. Before we go any deeper, I have to break something open for you, because if I do not, you will hear the rest of this message through the wrong filter, and the wrong filter will keep you stuck in shame for the rest of the night. Shame is not what the third bell is asking from you. Shame is what stops you from lifting the anchor. Shame is the weight that keeps the boat in place when the bell is begging it to move. Listen carefully to what I am about to say. The Father did not warn you twice because the Father is angry with you. The Father warned you twice because the Father is invested in you. I need you to sit with that sentence for a moment. A stranger does not warn you 3 times. A stranger does not warn you at all. A stranger watches you walk into your own disaster, and a stranger does not interrupt. The only person who warns you 3 times is someone who has decided you are worth the repetition. The only voice that comes back and back and back across the silence of your refusal is the voice that has refused to lose you. This idea that the Father gets frustrated, gets tired of repeating himself, gets disappointed with the number of times he has had to call your name, that idea did not come from heaven. That idea came from the way humans love. Human patience runs out. Human voices give up. Human relationships have a number of times you can be told something before the door closes between you. Divine patience does not run out. Divine patience does not run out, and that is exactly the reason the third bell is so important. The third bell is not the bell of running out. The third bell is the bell of timing. I want you to hear that word again. Timing. The door is not closing because the Father is slamming it on you. The door is closing because doors in the spiritual order are tied to seasons. Every season has an end. The window for this season's calling is finite, not because you are being punished, but because what is on the other side of the door has its own timing, its own readiness, its own appointed hour. There is a version of your life waiting on the other side of the third bell. That version has its own arrival time. If you delay past the third bell, you are not condemned, you are simply rerouted. The Father will speak again in a new season, with a new opening, because the Father does not stop speaking. But the specific thing being prepared for you in this season, the specific door that has had your name on it, that is what the third bell is naming. That is what is about to pass. There is an old story you may know about a man named Jonah. He was given a call. He ran. The call did not stop calling. The first warning was internal. It was the kind of inner knowing he could ignore in a crowded room, the kind of whisper that comes when you are walking somewhere alone and you suddenly know exactly what you should be doing, and you immediately push the knowing away. That was Jonah's first bell. He suppressed it. The second warning was louder. A storm. The sea itself began to break. The sailors on the boat with him knew something was wrong long before he was willing to admit it. But Jonah, and this is the part most people skip over, Jonah went below deck and slept while the storm was breaking the boat apart. He did not try to fight the storm. He did not try to negotiate with it. He went under. He hid in the lower part of the vessel and pretended the second bell was for someone else. And only the third, the swallowing, was loud enough to redirect him. Here is what most people miss about that story. The swallowing was not the punishment. The swallowing was the last act of mercy before the door of his calling closed entirely. The Father preserved him inside the swallowing. In the dark, in the silence, in the strangest classroom anyone has ever been given, Jonah remembered what he had said yes to before he was ever born. He remembered the call he had been running from. And when he came out, he was not destroyed. He was redirected. The door of his calling was still open, because the third bell, even though it cost him everything he had been clinging to, was still mercy. You may be inside the storm right now. You may even be inside the fish. You may be in a job that is collapsing in slow motion, a relationship that has gone silent in ways you cannot fix, a body that is sending you signals you have been trying not to hear, but you are not too late. The fact that you are listening to this, the fact that the third bell has reached you in a form you can finally pay attention to, that is itself the proof. The third witness is still in the room. The door is still open. The mercy is still working. What comes next requires something from you. Not money, not effort, just a single decision to be present. I want you to stop scrolling. I want you to stop multitasking. If there are other tabs open in your browser, close them now. If there are other voices in the room with you, ask them gently to wait. The next part of this message is not for them. It is between you and the third witness. And the third witness needs a room with no static. Silence your notifications. Lower the brightness of your screen if your eyes need a softer room. Let your shoulders fall away from your ears. Roll them back once, and then let them settle. Take one slow breath in through your nose. Let it leave through your mouth without forcing it. This is not a casual message. This is not a piece of content to consume in the corner of your afternoon. What is about to be named has been waiting a long time for the right room. You are the only one who can make this the right room. The lighthouse can ring the bell. The bell cannot lift the anchor for you. The anchor is yours. The decision to be present is yours. If you are ready to hear what the first bell in your life actually was, if you are ready to put a name on the season the Father whispered into and you did not respond, say yes inside your chest right now. You do not have to say it out loud. The yes itself is the agreement that opens what comes next. The yes is the anchor lifting, just a little, just enough for the boat to begin moving toward where it always belonged. What you are about to hear, you should hear directly, before another 20 minutes pass, and the gravity of what is being revealed has time to build mystery around it. Truth honors truth. Let what is real be placed in your awareness now, in the slow part of this message, while there is still time to sit with it without pressure. Some of you, listening right now, already feel a pull in your spirit that you cannot yet explain. That pull is not random. There is a reason these specific words are reaching specific people in specific moments. Part of that reason has names attached to it. 2 names, 2 tools. I would rather you hear those names from me here, in the quiet part of this message, than discover them at the very end and feel like the room got loud all at once. What we are walking into is not only a story about warnings, it is also a story about why your spiritual hearing went dim in the first place. The restoration of that hearing is not a one-stage process. It is two stages, two waves, two frequencies inside your own brain that need to come back online in a specific order because the order matters more than most people realize. The first wave is the wave of the child within you, the frequency of curiosity, of inner knowing, of the kind of natural learning you used to have before the world taught you to ignore yourself. The first wave is the wave the world has been dimming in you since you were about 7 years old. One of the tools that addresses that first wave is called the Genius Song. It was developed over 34 years of research by a neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake. It is a short audio, 7 minutes. You listen with headphones, you let it work, and the wave the world had been suppressing begins to return. The second wave is the wave of receiving, the frequency that lets you actually take in what is being given to you instead of striving for it and never quite arriving. That second wave has been hijacked, in most adults, by the survival frequency of modern life. The tool that addresses the second wave is called the wealth signal. It was developed by a neuroscientist named Dr. Stephen Newton, working out of a research lineage that includes Stanford and several other leading research institutions. It is also an audio, 5 minutes. It pairs with a short script you repeat while you listen, a script whose roots go back over 3,000 years, refined now by modern measurement. Both tools work in a specific order. The first wave wakes the child within. The second wave opens the channel through which the child is allowed to receive what was promised to her. They are not interchangeable. They are sequential. Child mind first, reception second. If your spirit is already pulling toward this, even before I have said another word about either one, the paths to both of them are placed in the description below this video, and also in the pinned comment right beneath. You do not need me to spell out a website right now. The doors are there for those whose body is already moving toward them. You do not have to rush to those doors in this moment. Stay for the rest of the message if you want context. The doors are below, and they are not going anywhere. In the same breath that named those two tools, the deeper current of this message begins to rise again. The names you just heard are the surface of something much larger. The reason these specific tools exist, the reason two scientists working in two separate decades, in two separate institutions, ended up measuring the same wall in the same human brain without ever meeting each other. That is not the kind of thing that happens by accident. That is the kind of thing that gets prepared. What was being prepared was not just the tool. What was being prepared was the moment you would be ready to hear about it. Which means the first two warnings, the ones we are about to name in your life, were also doing more than warning you. They were softening you. They were teaching your spirit to recognize the third bell, when it finally rang in a form it had never rung before in the entire history of your life. Before I can put names on your first two warnings, I have to show you why most chosen ones, even the most spiritually attentive ones, even the ones who pray and meditate and listen and try, cannot name their first two warnings until somebody walks them backward through their own life. The reason has to do with something very specific that happens inside the brain when you ignore the first frequency. Once you see what it is, the entire structure of why this third witness is arriving the way it is, everything is going to snap into focus for you. That is exactly where we are going next. There is something I want you to do with me before I name the first bell in your life. I want you to come back to the lighthouse with me for a moment. Stay there in your mind. The keeper is still at the rope. The harbor is still quiet. The sky is still that particular falling asleep color. But the part of the scene I want you to focus on now is not the bell. It is the rope. Look at the rope. Look at it slowly. Notice how worn it is. Notice how it has been pulled 3 times before. by 3 sets of hands across 3 generations of keepers every single time a boat has been in the harbor when the storm was approaching. The rope has memory. It knows the weight of every boat that has ever lifted its anchor at the 3rd bell and made it to open water. It also knows the weight of every boat that did not. The rope is what we are going to pull on next, together, carefully, because what is about to come back into your awareness has been waiting at the other end of that rope for a long time. Most chosen ones, when they hear about a warning, expect the warning to arrive the way warnings arrive in movies: a loud voice, a burning bush, a finger writing on the wall, a storm in the kitchen. They expect to be unable to miss it. And because they expect that, they assume that if they cannot remember a warning that obvious, they must not have received one yet. That is the first lie I have to break before we can keep going. The first bell is never the bell of the movie. The first bell is always small. The first bell is the kind of moment you can talk yourself out of within 30 seconds of having it. And because you can talk yourself out of it within 30 seconds, most chosen ones do talk themselves out of it, and then forget that the talking out of it ever happened. So I am going to walk you through a specific tool right now. I want you to listen to it carefully, because this tool is yours to keep. You are going to be able to use it for the rest of your life, on yourself, on your children, on the people you love who are still asleep in their own harbors. I call this tool the 3-witness audit. The 3-witness audit is built on a simple idea. Heaven does not warn once and disappear. Heaven warns in 3s, always in 3s. So if the bell ringing in your life right now is the 3rd one, and it is, then there are 2 earlier bells already in your memory, already in your body, already in your history, waiting to be identified. The audit is the way you find them. Here is how the audit works. There are 3 steps. Listen carefully. The first step of the audit is to look backward, not far backward, not back to your childhood, not back to old wounds. The first bell almost always rang somewhere between 18 months ago and 36 months ago. 2 years, give or take. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. But it is in that window. That is the window of the first whisper. So that is the window we look in first. I want you to bring that window into your mind right now. 18 months ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. What was your life like then? Where were you living? Who were you with? What were you spending your days doing? What was the rhythm of your weeks? Just hold the window in your mind. Do not try to find anything yet. Just bring the window into view. The second step of the audit is to remember the form. Warning 1 almost never comes as a voice. Warning 1 comes as a feeling that lasts about 30 seconds and then disappears. It comes as a sudden, unmistakable inner knowing that something in your life is not your path, and then, just as quickly, the knowing fades. The knowing fades because the conscious mind grabs onto a reason to dismiss it. The knowing was too inconvenient. The knowing would have cost too much to act on. So the knowing was filed away, and the body was told to forget it. But the body does not forget. The body remembers every whisper that was ever sent and refused. The body files those whispers in the cells, in the breath patterns, in the way you carry your shoulders. And when you stop and look back, the body will hand the memory back to you, because the body has been waiting a long time to be allowed to give it back. The third step of the audit is to name the cost, not in a way that makes you feel worse, not in a way that drowns you in regret, just in a way that honors the truth. What did saying no to the first bell actually cost? What were the months you spent in the wrong vessel? What energy did you spend defending a road you knew, deep down, was not yours? When you can name that cost gently, not to punish yourself, but to honor what was lost, the cost becomes information instead of shame. And information is what the audit is for. That is the full framework. 3 steps. Look back to the window. Remember the form. Name the cost. I am going to walk through it with you in real time, right now, while you are here. Because the worst thing I can do is give you a tool without showing you how it works on a real life. So let me show you what the first bell looks like in specific shapes on real human lives. The first bell, in almost every chosen one's life, takes one of 4 forms. I want you to listen for the one that matches yours. You will know which one is yours the moment I name it. There is a particular kind of recognition that lands in your chest when the right shape is named, almost like a click, almost like the snap of a small bone setting. Trust that click when it comes. The first form is the career interest you suppressed. Somewhere in that 18 to 36-month window, there was a moment, sometimes a long moment, sometimes just a flash of a moment, when you knew, with complete clarity, that the work you were doing was not the work you were here to do. The knowing did not arrive as a complaint. It did not arrive as boredom. Boredom you would have recognized. The knowing arrived as a still, certain voice that said something close to, "This is no longer where you belong." And then, almost immediately, the voice was followed by every reason in the world to ignore it. The mortgage, the pension, the years of training, the disappointment your family would feel, the look on your spouse's face, the amount of money you would lose by walking away now. The voice was real. The reasons were also real. And the reasons won. They almost always do, at the first bell, because the first bell is not loud enough to outvote a mortgage. So you stayed, and you told yourself the knowing was just a phase. And then you forgot. The second form is the relationship doubt you rationalized away. There was a person in your life, and this person could be a partner, could be a friend, could be a family member you had been carrying for years. And at some moment within that same window, you saw them, really saw them, for the first time without the lens you had been viewing them through. And what you saw made your stomach drop. You saw, very briefly, that this relationship was not aligned with who you were becoming. The seeing did not last long. Within minutes, the rationalizations were back in place. You told yourself you were being unfair. You told yourself nobody is perfect. You told yourself you had no right to leave, or to set the boundary, or to name the truth. You told yourself this was just a bad day. And the moment of seeing was buried, but it never went away. It is the moment your body returns to every time you wake at 3 in the morning. Your body has been bringing it back again and again, hoping you would notice this time. The third form is the health signal you scheduled around. There was a symptom, a sensation, an inner whisper of something is off that you noticed in that window. It might have been physical, a recurring pain, a strange fatigue, a digestion that changed for no reason, a sleep pattern that broke and never quite came back. It might have been emotional, a low-grade sadness that nothing could fix, a numbness in places that used to feel alive, a flatness in moments that used to bring you joy. You noticed it. You knew in some quiet part of yourself that this was not a small thing, but you rearranged your calendar around it instead of stopping to address it. You found ways to function with it. You named it normal. You told yourself everyone your age feels this way, and the signal kept signaling, week after week, getting a little louder, until you found that you were no longer the same person who had walked into that window in the first place. The fourth form is the geographic pull you dismissed as fantasy. There was a city, or a place, or a country, or even just a room somewhere that kept appearing in your mind in that window, not as a vacation, as a knowing, as though some part of you had been called to be there, and the rest of you had not yet been told. You may have looked up the place online late at night, or watched videos about it for hours, or known its weather without ever having been there. And every time you brought it up to anyone, the conversation got dismissed quickly. It got called dreaming. It got called unrealistic. It got called your imagination running. And so you stopped bringing it up even to yourself. But the place did not stop calling. The place is still calling. It is calling right now. One of those 4 shapes is yours. I am not going to ask you to say which one out loud. I am not going to ask you to type it into the comments. What I am going to ask is that you sit with it for a few seconds. Just sit. Let the right shape rise from the place it has been hiding. Let the small click happen in your chest. The click is the body saying yes. The click is the first witness identifying itself. That click, and nothing more elaborate than that, is the entire purpose of the audit's first step. I want to tell you about a woman who walked through this exact audit so you can see what it looks like on the other side of being honest. I will not use her name. I rarely do with the stories I share, because the stories belong to the people who lived them, and the names are theirs to keep. She was 39 years old. She had been working in sales for the same company for 11 years. The work was good. The income was strong. She had a corner desk and a title that took her a decade to earn. From the outside, by every measure most people would use, she was doing well. But somewhere between her 37th and her 38th birthday, she walked into her own kitchen one Sunday morning, made a cup of tea, sat down at the table, and was struck completely without warning by the certainty that she was in the wrong life. Not the wrong job, exactly, the wrong life. The certainty lasted about 40 seconds. By the time her tea had cooled enough to drink, the certainty was already dissolving. By the time she had finished the cup, the certainty was filed under stress. By Monday morning, she had forgotten the certainty had ever arrived. 11 months later, she was let go from the company in a wave of layoffs that had nothing to do with her performance. The letter arrived on a Tuesday. She read it twice before it registered. And in the moment it registered, the certainty from the Sunday morning kitchen came back, suddenly, all at once. And she understood for the first time that the layoff was not a disaster. The layoff was the second bell. The Sunday morning at the kitchen table had been the first. She told me later that the hardest part of the audit was not finding the first bell. The hardest part was forgiving herself for not having moved at the sound of it, because once she could see it laid out the Sunday morning, the 11 months of pretending, the Tuesday letter, she could not unsee how long the bell had been ringing in her life. And she had to grieve the version of herself that had been unable to hear it. That grief is the cost we name in step 3. That grief is part of the work. The reason I am telling you this is not to make you grieve longer than you need to. The reason I am telling you this is to show you that the audit works. The first bell is findable. You are not crazy. You are not making it up. You did not invent the whisper. The whisper was real. And finding the whisper now, even years late, is not too late. Finding the whisper now is what allows the third bell to do its work. Without the first bell named, the third bell cannot land properly. The third bell needs the soil of the first 2 bells to grow into. I want to do something now that I rarely do in messages like this one. I want to stop. Not stop the message. Stop the building. Stop the layering. Stop the part of this where I keep handing you new things to think about. I want us to sit, just for a minute, in the room we have made together. You have been listening for a long time now. Your body has been holding a certain posture. Your breath has been running at a certain rhythm. And somewhere in the last few minutes, something in you found a shape and called it yours. That recognition takes effort, not the effort of doing, the effort of receiving. Receiving is a kind of labor we are not often given permission to acknowledge. So let it be acknowledged here. Breathe once, slow. Whatever just landed in your chest, let it be there without needing to organize itself yet. Whatever sadness rose up around the woman in the kitchen, let it be there without needing to be solved yet. Whatever recognition is making your shoulders heavy, let it be heavy. Heavy is honest. Heavy is the body saying yes. You do not need to fix anything in this minute. You do not need to figure out what to do next. You do not need to plan the rest of your day around what you have just realized. The next part of the message will carry us forward when we are ready. Right now, all that is asked of you is to keep breathing in this room. There is an old story I touched on briefly with you earlier. I want to return to it now with more care, because the story is going to give you a map of where the bells go when they are not answered. It is going to show you what each stage looks like from the inside on a real human being who lived it. The story is the story of Jonah. You may have heard it before. You may have heard it told in ways that turned it into a children's story about a man swallowed by a big fish. That telling misses the entire point of what was actually happening underneath. What was actually happening underneath was a 3-bell pattern, and Jonah's life is the clearest map we have for what each bell feels like when it lands. The first bell, for Jonah, was an inner call. He was a man going about his ordinary days, and one afternoon, in the middle of those ordinary days, a knowing arrived in his chest with full clarity. The knowing had a destination attached. He was being called to a city called Nineveh. The call did not come with thunder. The call came as a still, undeniable inner certainty that this was the next thing. And Jonah, and this is important, Jonah did not refuse the call out loud. He never argued with it. He never wrote a letter to heaven explaining his disagreement. He simply got up, packed his things, and went the opposite direction. He boarded a ship traveling to the farthest port he could find from Nineveh. The first bell, for Jonah, was answered by movement away. I want you to notice that. The first bell is almost never answered by hostility. The first bell is answered by drift, by a quiet, polite turning of the body in the other direction, by a packing of bags and a buying of tickets and a finding of reasons to be somewhere else. Jonah did not fight the whisper. He just walked away from it. The second bell, for Jonah, was a storm. The ship he had boarded ran into a sea so violent that the sailors on board believed they were going to die. The waves were not random. The wind was not random. The storm had a specific shape, and the shape was pointed at one man on the ship, but Jonah did not yet recognize that the storm was for him. And here is the part of the story that almost every retelling skips, but it is the most important part for you to hear tonight. While the storm was breaking the boat apart, while the sailors were throwing their cargo into the sea to try to save themselves, while the captain was running from one side of the deck to the other, trying to figure out what was happening, Jonah went below deck and he fell asleep. Jonah slept through the second bell. This is what most chosen ones do when the second warning arrives. They do not panic. They do not pray. They do not face it. They go inside, deeper inside themselves, into a kind of numbness that lets them pretend the storm is happening to somebody else's life. They sleep through the layoff by drinking. They sleep through the diagnosis by overworking. They sleep through the relationship rupture by scrolling. They go below deck of their own life, in whatever form below deck takes for them, and they pull the blanket over their head, and they refuse to see that the storm is asking them a question. The captain of the ship eventually came down and found him sleeping. The captain woke him up and asked him directly, "How can you sleep through this? Get up, call on your God. Maybe he will hear, and we will not perish." Notice that. It was not heaven that woke Jonah for the second bell. It was a stranger, a pagan sailor, an outsider with no claim on Jonah's tradition. That is also a pattern. The second bell often arrives in the voice of someone who has no business knowing what they know about your life. A co-worker says something offhand that lands too precisely. A stranger on a plane tells you a story that sounds exactly like yours. A child asks you a question you cannot answer without telling the truth. The second bell uses other people as its instruments, because by the second bell, you are already too far inside yourself to hear it from the inside. Jonah, even after being woken by the captain, still tried to negotiate. He told the sailors his God was the God of the sea and the dry land. He told them they should throw him overboard, and the storm would stop. He still framed himself as the obstacle to be removed, not as the man being asked to turn around. Even on the brink of the third bell, he was still trying to make the story end with him sinking quietly, rather than him saying yes to the call. And then came the third bell. The water took him, the ship was saved, and in the deep, when his lungs had nothing left and his body was preparing to give up, a great fish swallowed him. He woke up in the dark of the fish's belly, alive and confused and undone. I want to say this very carefully, because the entire shape of what comes next in your life depends on whether you can hear what I am about to say. The fish was not the punishment. The fish was the last act of mercy before the door of his calling closed. The Father did not send the fish to humiliate him. The Father sent the fish to preserve him. The fish was a holding place, a kind of dark, slow classroom where Jonah could finally, for the first time since the call had arrived, be quiet enough, still enough, and stripped enough to remember who he had said yes to before he was ever born. Inside the fish, there was no career to hide behind. There was no ship to escape on. There were no rationalizations left. There was only him and the call, and the truth that he had been running from the only thing that was ever truly his. 3 days, 3 nights, and when he came out, he did not come out destroyed. He came out rerouted. He walked to Nineveh, finally, and the city responded to him in ways he could never have imagined. The calling that he had been running from turned out to be the largest, most meaningful chapter of his entire life. The thing he was most afraid of was the thing that was holding everything he was made for. The first bell whispered. The second bell shook. The third bell swallows. You may already be inside the storm. You may already be below deck, with the blanket pulled over your head. You may already be in the water. You may even be inside the fish, sitting in a job that is falling apart, a relationship that has gone silent, a body that is sending signals you cannot decode, a season that does not feel survivable. If you are, hear me say this: you are not being punished. You are being preserved. The fish is the mercy, not the verdict. The door is still open. The third bell has not been pulled all the way down yet. There is still time to answer. There is a word in the old Hebrew language that I want you to carry with you for the rest of this message, because once you understand it, you will never be able to think about hearing the same way again. The word is Shema. Shema is spelled in English as S-H-E-M-A. It looks, in English, like a small word. In Hebrew, it is one of the largest words in the entire language, because Shema does not mean only one thing. Shema means 3 things, layered on top of each other, and the 3 things cannot be separated. Shema means to hear, Shema means to listen, and Shema means to obey, all 3 at the same time, in the same act. In English, we separated hearing and obeying a long time ago. We made them 2 different actions. You can hear someone speak to you and decide later whether to act on it. You can listen attentively and still walk away unchanged. In English, the words are independent. Hearing is one transaction. Obeying is another transaction. They do not require each other. The Hebrew language never permitted that separation. To shema is to do all three in one motion. To hear something without acting on it is not half shema. It is no shema at all. The Hebrew language would not even call it hearing. The Hebrew language would call it listening with closed ears, which is its own kind of deafness, a deafness that has nothing to do with the ears and everything to do with the will. I want you to hold that for a moment. When the Father warned you the first time and you heard the whisper and you understood the whisper and you turned your body in the opposite direction, you did not shema. You heard in the English sense. You understood in the English sense. But you did not shema, because to shema would have been to move, and you did not move. When the Father warned you the second time and the storm came, and you saw the storm, and you knew somewhere in your bones what the storm was actually about, you did not shema. You heard it again, you acknowledged it again, but you did not move. And so, again, no shema. The Father did not warn you twice, expecting you to hear twice. The Father warned you twice, expecting you to shema once, and you did not. Not because you are broken, not because you are a bad chosen one, not because you lack faith, because somewhere along the way, the equipment that allows hearing and obeying to happen in the same motion got separated. The wiring between knowing and doing got cut. And every time you tried to act on what you knew, the gap between the knowing and the doing was wider than you could leap across. That gap is the thing this entire message is going to address. That gap is the reason the third bell is arriving in the form it is arriving in. That gap has a name, and it has a measurement, and it has a tool, and you are going to know all of that before this message is over. But for right now, in this moment, what I want you to hear is this. You have just done something extraordinary. You have just named, for the first time, the shape of your first warning. You have just understood for the first time why hearing it was not enough to make you move. And the naming, the simple act of letting the truth be named without flinching from it, is the first crack in the wall that has been keeping you deaf. The wall does not come down all at once. The wall comes down crack by crack. And tonight, you have just made the first crack. This is the part of the message where I have to be very gentle with you, because what comes next is going to be heavy, and I do not want to add to the heaviness. I want to ease something off your shoulders before we go further. I can hear what some of you are feeling right now. There is a temptation, when the first bell gets named, to fall into a particular kind of grief that has nothing useful in it. The grief of, how could I have missed it? The grief of, what is wrong with me that I needed 2 warnings? The grief of, look at all the time I lost. That grief feels like accountability, but it is not accountability. It is shame wearing the costume of growth. It is the very thing the enemy of your becoming uses to keep you frozen at the third bell, unable to lift the anchor, because the weight of self-blame is heavier than the weight of the boat itself. So listen carefully to what I am about to say, and let it settle into the places that need it. You are allowed to grieve the version of you that ignored the whisper. You are allowed to mourn the months and years you spent in the wrong vessel, doing the wrong work, loving the wrong people, defending the wrong road. You are allowed to feel the ache of what was lost while you were sleeping below deck. The grief is part of being honest about what happened. Skipping the grief does not make you spiritually advanced. Skipping the grief makes you brittle. Real strength comes from feeling what is true and not collapsing under it. You are allowed to release the shame of having needed 2 warnings instead of 1. You are not a slower student. You are not a weaker chosen one. You are not less loved, because the first bell did not move you. The number of bells it took to reach you says nothing about your worth, and everything about the depth of the wiring that needed to be unraveled before you could hear. Some of the most powerful chosen ones in the lineage of this calling needed 3. Jonah needed 3. Moses argued with the burning bush. Hagar needed to be sitting at a well, ready to die, before the divine voice could reach her. None of them were rejected. All of them were redirected. So are you. You are allowed to forgive yourself for not having had this framework earlier. Nobody taught you what Shema meant. Nobody walked you through the audit when you were younger. Nobody told you the first bell would arrive as a whisper instead of a thunderclap. You were doing the best you could with the equipment you had. Your equipment had been dimmed before you ever got to choose. The fact that you are here now, listening to this, looking back without flinching, that is the proof that the dimming was not permanent. You are allowed to put the shame down, right now, in this room. You do not have to carry it through the rest of this message. You do not have to carry it into the next chapter of your life. The shame is not a moral payment for missed warnings. The shame is the very thing that has been making the warnings need to escalate. Put it down. I want you to do something with me very quietly, in the safety of wherever you are right now. In your mind, picture the shame as something solid, as a small gray stone, or a folded letter, or whatever form your mind wants to give it. Hold it in your hand for one slow breath. Acknowledge what it has been trying to protect you from, and then, in your mind, set it down. Not throw it, not destroy it, just set it down. The way you would set down a heavy bag at the end of a long walk. Let the shoulders drop, let the hands open. There is a moment we should mark together, because what just happened was real, and what is real deserves to be acknowledged. If, while I was naming the 4 shapes of the first bell, something in you found the one that was yours, if there was a click in your chest, or a sting behind your eyes, or a slow knowing that rose up and said, yes, I want you to type just 3 small words into the comments below. Type, I see it. 3 small words, that is all. You do not have to explain what you saw. You do not have to write a paragraph about your story. The words are not for the comment section. The words are for your own body. Because something in you needs to make the recognition real outside of your own head. The recognition needs to leave your chest in a form that cannot be taken back. Typing 3 small words is the lightest way to make that happen. If the click happened, type the words. Then come back. We have more to walk through together. We have named the first bell. We have audited the whisper. We have honored the grief. We have set the shame down. And the second bell is waiting to be named next. Because the second bell is not the same kind of bell as the first. The second bell is louder. The second bell is harder to ignore. The second bell, in almost every case, took the form of something that looked, on the surface, like a disaster. Something that, when it happened, you called by every name except its real name. You called it bad luck. You called it timing. You called it the economy. You called it the other person's fault. You called it your own failure. You called it stress. You called it midlife. You called it everything except what it actually was, which was the lighthouse keeper pulling the second rope harder than he had pulled the first. And there is a reason, a specific, biological, measurable reason why the second bell almost always has to be louder than the first. There is a reason heaven cannot just keep whispering once the whispering has been refused. The reason has to do with what is happening inside the brain when the first frequency goes unanswered. The reason has to do with 2 specific neural states that begin to shift when the listening stops. And when you see those 2 states laid out, you will understand finally and completely why your last 2 warnings could not reach you in the form they would have reached you if you had answered the first bell early. That is what we are walking into next. The keeper is still at the lighthouse. The first rope has been pulled. The first bell has rung in your awareness, and you have named the shape it took in your life. But the keeper is not finished. His hand has moved from the first rope to the second. And what comes next is the part of the work that asks something different from you. The first bell asked you to remember. The second bell will ask you to forgive, not somebody else, but the version of you that survived it. Slow your breath for what comes next, because the second bell, in almost every chosen one's life, took the form of something that, when it happened, you would have done anything to undo. You did not call it a bell. You called it a catastrophe. You called it the worst year of your life. You called it the thing you have not fully recovered from. Most of you listening right now already know which event I am about to describe. You know which season in your life I am pointing at. Even before I name the 4 shapes the second bell tends to take. Your body has been bringing that season back to the surface for the last few minutes, almost as if it knew this part of the message was coming, almost as if it has been waiting a long time to finally be allowed to name what happened. Hear me carefully. The 4 shapes the second bell tends to take are not random. They are connected, every single time, to the first bell you ignored. Heaven does not warn at random. The second warning is always shaped like the consequence of the first one. It is the same call, in a louder voice, wearing the shape of what you were trying to avoid. The first shape the second bell often takes is a forced career rupture. If your first bell was a career interest you suppressed, if the whisper somewhere in that 18 to 36-month window was telling you that the work you were doing was no longer the work you were here to do, and you stayed anyway, then your second bell most likely arrived as a job ending you did not choose, a layoff, a restructuring, a contract not renewed, a boss who became impossible to work with overnight, a business that began to slowly fail despite everything you tried to keep it alive. From the outside, it looked like bad timing. It looked like the economy. It looked like office politics. It looked like 1,000 reasons that were not your fault. And maybe none of it was your fault, in the way the world defines fault. But the timing of it, the precise way it arrived, on top of the whisper you had been suppressing for nearly 2 years, that timing was not random. That timing was the same voice, in a louder volume, saying the same thing the whisper had said. You did not choose to leave the vessel, so the vessel left you. The second bell did not destroy your career. The second bell removed you from a road you had already been told, in the quiet, was no longer yours. The second shape the second bell often takes is a relationship rupture. If your first bell was a relationship doubt you rationalized away, if there was a moment in that same window when you saw a person in your life clearly for the first time, and the seeing made your stomach drop, and you buried the seeing back under the surface within minutes, then your second bell almost always arrived as the rupture of that relationship in a way you did not control. Sometimes it was a betrayal you did not see coming. Sometimes it was a long, slow disappearance, the kind where one of you became a stranger inside the same house. Sometimes it was a sudden ending that came out of nowhere and left you reeling for months afterward. Whatever shape it took, the rupture was not random. The rupture was the relationship answering, on its own, the question you had refused to answer when the first bell rang. You did not name what was wrong, so the relationship broke open along the line where the wrongness had been hiding. The second bell did not destroy a healthy relationship. The second bell exposed a relationship that the whisper had already named and that you had refused to honor. The third shape the second bell often takes is an escalated health signal. If your first bell was a body whisper you scheduled around a recurring pain you medicated, a fatigue you pushed through, a digestion that shifted and never quite returned, an emotional flatness that you told yourself was just adulthood. Then your second bell most likely arrived as a health event you could no longer schedule around. A diagnosis, an emergency room visit, a test result that came back wrong, a collapse of a system in your body that had been quietly asking for attention for a very long time. The diagnosis, in the moment it landed, felt like a verdict. It felt like the body had turned on you. But the body had not turned on you. The body had been speaking to you in increasing volume since the first whisper. The body did not betray you with the second bell. The body finally raised its voice loudly enough that you could no longer file it under busy. The second bell did not damage your health. The second bell forced you to see what your body had been showing you for a long time without your permission to receive it. The fourth shape the second bell often takes is a forced relocation or environmental rupture. If your first bell was a geographic pull you dismissed as fantasy, if there was a place that had been calling you for months, that you watched videos about late at night, that you knew the weather of without ever having been there, then your second bell often arrived as a forced change to your living situation that pushed you out of the environment you had been clinging to. A landlord who did not renew the lease. A home you had to sell because of finances. A move that you did not plan for, that arrived in your life through circumstances you could not negotiate with. A neighborhood that began to feel unsafe in ways it had not before. A city that began to drain you in ways it never used to. The relocation, in the moment it happened, felt like instability. It felt like life had become unpredictable in a way that was hard to bear. But the relocation was not punishment. The relocation was the second bell, using your environment as its instrument, because the first bell had used your imagination, and the imagination had been refused. One of those four shapes is yours. Sit with the recognition again, just as you did with the first bell. Let the click happen in your chest. Let the second witness identify itself. What I need you to see now, with full clarity, is the pattern. Your second bell was not a separate event from your first bell. Your second bell was the same call, escalated. Heaven was not punishing you for missing the first one. Heaven was repeating itself more loudly because the first volume had not reached you. The second bell was mercy, the same way the first was mercy. Both were the lighthouse keeper trying to wake the same boat with the same warning, using whatever volume the boat would respond to. But here is the part that almost no one tells you. Here is the part that explains everything about why your last two warnings could not reach you, and why your third one is arriving in a form different from anything that has ever reached you before. The reason the second bell had to be louder than the first is not because heaven became impatient. Heaven did not become impatient. The reason the second bell had to be louder is because something specific was happening inside your brain on a measurable biological level every single time you refused the first frequency. And that something has a name. Actually, it has two names. Because what is happening is not one process. It is two processes happening at the same time, in two different parts of the brain that compound on each other every time a warning is ignored. I want to walk you through both of them carefully, because the names are going to matter, and the order is going to matter, and once you see how they work, the entire shape of your last decade is going to make sense in a way it has not made sense to you before. The first of the two processes is called the decline effect. It is named that way because it is, at its core, a slow decline. The decline effect is the gradual silencing of a specific brain frequency, a frequency called gamma, that is the highest of the natural brain frequencies humans are capable of producing. Gamma is the frequency where intuition lives. Gamma is the frequency where deep inner knowing happens. Gamma is the frequency where the kind of pattern recognition that lets you feel something is wrong before you can explain why happens. Gamma is the frequency where children, before the age of about 7, naturally operate for a significant portion of their day. Children are not more spiritual than adults because they are pure. Children are more spiritual than adults because their gamma is still online. They have not yet been trained out of it. The decline effect is the slow training out of it. It begins around age 7 in almost every culture in the world, the moment the conditioning of formal education and structured logic begins to dominate the child's daily life. Gamma starts to dim, slowly, almost imperceptibly, year by year. The frequency that allowed the child to know things she had no way of knowing logically. The frequency that allowed her to read a room before she had words for what she was reading. That frequency goes quieter. By the time she is 25, in most modern adults, gamma is operating at a fraction of what it used to operate at. And by the time she is 35, the frequency is so dim that the inner knowing she once had as a child feels, to her, like superstition. She has been trained to not trust it. She has been rewarded every step of the way for choosing logic over knowing, for choosing evidence over inner certainty, for choosing the visible over the felt. Now, here is the part you need to hear with your full attention. Every time the first bell rang in your life and you did not move, every time the inner knowing arrived and you talked yourself out of it, the decline effect compounded. The gamma frequency that produced the knowing went a little dimmer than it was before, because frequencies in the brain follow a use it or lose it law. The frequencies you use grow stronger. The frequencies you ignore go quieter. So the very act of receiving a whisper and refusing to act on it does not leave the equipment neutral. It actively diminishes the equipment. The next whisper, when it arrives, has to travel through a brain that hears just a little less than it used to. This is the reason your first bell was a whisper and your second bell was a thunderclap. It is not because heaven was shouting harder. It is because by the time the second warning arrived, the receiver inside you had grown dimmer. Heaven adjusted the volume. It did not have a choice. The lighthouse keeper rang the second bell harder because the first bell had ringed into a fog, and the fog had thickened during the months you spent not answering. That is process 1. The second of the two processes is called the stress signal, and the stress signal is not about gamma. It is about a completely different brain frequency called alpha that lives in a different region and does a different job. Where gamma is the frequency of intuition, alpha is the frequency of reception. Alpha is the frequency that allows you to actually take in what is being given to you. Alpha is the state your brain enters when you are calm enough to receive, when you are present enough to allow, when the striving has paused long enough for the giving to come through. In a healthy, integrated human, alpha rises naturally in the late evening, in moments of rest, in the soft state between activity and sleep, in prayer, in meditation, in the moments after lovemaking, in the moments of holding a sleeping child. Alpha is the receiving channel. It is the open hand of the spirit. Without alpha, no matter how loudly heaven is speaking, the receiving cannot happen, because there is no open hand on your end. The stress signal is what hijacks alpha. The stress signal is the chronic overactivity of a different brain state called beta. Beta is the frequency of vigilance. Beta is the frequency of survival. Beta is the frequency you operate in when you are running late, when your inbox is full, when you are scanning for threats, when you are managing logistics, when you are paying bills that just keep coming, when you are pushing through a day on caffeine and willpower. Beta is not bad in itself. Beta is necessary. Beta is what gets the work done. But beta was never meant to be the dominant frequency of an adult human life. Beta was meant to be one frequency among several, rising when needed and falling when the need passed. Modern life keeps beta on. It keeps beta on for 10, 12, 15 hours a day. It keeps beta on through scrolling and through worrying and through the constant low-grade scarcity hum that runs underneath almost every adult's nervous system. And when beta stays on, alpha cannot come up. When alpha cannot come up, the receiving channel stays closed, which means even when heaven is broadcasting, even when the bell is ringing, even when the warning is on its way at full volume, the channel that would have allowed you to receive it has been jammed by survival noise. The signal is being sent. You are not receiving it. This is the second reason your last two warnings could not reach you in the form they would have reached you in a quieter, more open life. Even if your gamma had been intact, even if the decline effect had not been compounding, the stress signal was running underneath everything you were doing. The receiving channel was already closed by the time the first bell rang. The intuition was being sent. The reception was blocked. You did not miss the warning because you are a bad listener. You missed it because two separate frequencies, one being silenced, one being jammed, were working against you at the same time. I need you to hear this very clearly. You did not fail to hear the warnings. Your equipment was dim. Both transmitters were dim. Both receivers were dim. And the more you ignored the first whisper, the dimmer the equipment got. By the time the second bell rang, you were operating with a fraction of the spiritual hearing you had been born with. By the time the third bell is ringing now, in this very moment, in this very room, you are operating with even less of it. The third witness, this time, knew that. The third witness knew that arriving as a voice was not going to work. The third witness knew that arriving as a storm was not going to work. The third witness knew that anything broadcast on the old frequencies would slip past you the same way the first two did, because the dimming has continued. The dimming is now in its third stage. That is why the third witness is arriving as something different, not a voice, not a storm, a frequency, a measurable, restorable, addressable frequency. Because the only way to reach a brain that has gone dim on two channels is to restore the channels themselves. I want to tell you about another wisdom figure from the old stories, because she is going to show you something about the stress signal that you need to see before we keep going. Her name was Hagar. You may know the story, you may not. It does not matter. I am going to tell it to you slowly, because the way it is usually told misses the most important part of what was happening to her body in the moment heaven spoke. Hagar was a servant woman. She had been carrying a child who was not her choice in a household that had cast her out. She had walked into a desert with almost no water, with a small son, in a culture where a woman alone with a child had almost no path to survive. She walked until the water was gone. She walked until her child was crying for water and she could not give him any. She walked until her body had no more walking left in it. And then she did something that, in almost any reading of the story, gets misunderstood. She put her son under a bush, she walked a small distance away, and she sat down to die. She did not pray. She did not call out. She did not bargain. She simply sat. She was finished. And in that moment of complete defeat, in that exact moment when her striving had collapsed and her beta had run out, heaven spoke to her. A voice came. A messenger came. A well was revealed. Her son's life was saved. Her own life was redirected. Most people read that story and think the lesson is about hope. The lesson is not about hope. The lesson is about frequency. Hagar received the voice not because she was finally worthy, not because she had earned it through enough suffering, not because heaven had decided to be merciful. Hagar received the voice because, for the first time in months, her stress signal collapsed. Her beta had no fuel left. The vigilance that had been broadcasting underneath every minute of her life had nothing left to broadcast. And, in the silence of that collapse, Alpha came back online. The receiving channel opened, and the voice that had been there the whole time, the voice that had been ready to speak to her at any moment in her months of striving, finally had a channel to land on. I want you to feel the weight of that. Heaven was not waiting for Hagar to suffer more. Heaven was waiting for her receiver to be quiet enough to receive. Most chosen ones, hearing this story, assume the path to hearing heaven is more striving, more discipline, more spiritual effort. But Hagar's story shows you the opposite. The path to hearing heaven, in a brain like yours, in a life like the one you are living, is not more striving. It is the lowering of the stress signal. It is the calming of beta. It is the opening of alpha. It is making the receiver quiet enough to receive what has been broadcasting at you in steady frequency for years. This is the part that almost breaks me to say, because I know how many of you have been blaming yourselves for not hearing more clearly. You have not been a bad listener. You have been a closed receiver. There is a difference. A bad listener could choose to listen better. A closed receiver does not have the channel open, no matter how hard she chooses. The stress signal is not a choice. The stress signal is a state, and the state has been hijacking you for so long that you have come to believe the state is who you are. It is not who you are. It is what has been done to you by a world that requires beta to function. Hagar collapsed by accident. She did not know she was opening alpha. She just knew she had nothing left. Heaven met her in the silence of that collapse, because there was finally a silence to meet her in. You do not have to collapse to open the channel. You do not have to walk into a desert. You do not have to lose everything to find the silence Hagar found. There are tools now, measurable, repeatable, science-backed tools that can lower the stress signal without requiring you to be ruined first. There are tools that can restore the gamma frequency without requiring you to be a child again. The third witness has prepared something for you that Hagar did not have. Something Jonah did not have. Something none of the wisdom figures of the old stories had access to. And the reason you are sitting in this room tonight with these specific words reaching you in this specific order is because the preparation of those tools and the arrival of this message in your awareness are connected in ways that are not accidental. Before I tell you the rest, I want to do something. I want to give you permission to set down a piece of the labor of being here. You have been receiving a lot in the last little while. You have audited your first bell. You have named your second bell. You have just been shown the two biological processes that have been working against your hearing for most of your adult life. That is a lot. That is more than most chosen ones receive in a single sitting in their entire lives. So before we go further, I want to ask you to do something small. Something that does not require you to get up or move or change anything about where you are in this moment. I want you to gently press the like button on this message, not for me, not for any reason that has anything to do with this channel. I want you to press it so that this message can find another chosen one who has been carrying the same exhaustion you have been carrying, who is somewhere in their own harbor right now, with their first two bells already rung, and no one to walk them through the audit. There is at least one chosen one out there tonight whose third bell is about to ring, and who does not know it yet. The single tap of your finger sends this message further into the field where they can find it. It takes 2 seconds, it costs you nothing, and it gives another chosen one, somewhere, the chance to find their first bell in time. Take the breath, tap the like, then come back to me, because the next part of this is the part you came for. I want to do something now that the structure of this message demands. I want to give you back the language to describe everything we have walked through, so that you can carry it out of this room and use it. What felt like coincidence in the season around 18 to 36 months ago was actually the first bell. What felt like bad luck in the harder season that came after was actually the second bell. What feels like exhaustion right now, the strange, full-body tiredness that has been settling deeper into you. The longer this message has been playing is actually the third bell arriving on a frequency your brain has not been able to translate as voice. What feels like crisis is actually call. What feels like ending is actually the corridor. Hold those 5 sentences, carry them with you, because the way you have been naming your own life has been the very thing keeping you from seeing what your life actually is. The renaming is the beginning of being able to walk forward. The renaming is itself part of the third bell. There is something I have not told you yet, and I am going to tell you now, because the next 20 minutes of this message depend on you knowing it. Before I can show you what the third witness is asking from you, and I will show you, because I promised, and I keep what I promise, there is one measurement that has to be named first. A measurement that 2 different scientists in 2 different decades, in 2 different institutions, both arrived at independently without ever working together. They were not looking for the same thing. They were not part of the same research project. They were not even in the same field of study at the start. But what they each found in their separate labs was the same wall. The same neurological wall that has been keeping the warnings from reaching the receiver they were supposed to reach. And what they found, working in parallel without knowing about each other, is the reason this message is reaching you tonight in this exact form. Stay close. The first of those 2 scientists is a man named Dr. Robert Lake. He spent 34 years of his life studying one specific question. The question was simple. Why do some adults retain the inner knowing they had as children, and most do not? He worked through research institutions. You would recognize research traditions that include MIT, Princeton, Harvard, and several other leading universities. And what he discovered, over decades of measurement, was the existence of the decline effect on the gamma frequency. He did not invent the decline effect. He measured it. He gave it a name. He charted its progression. And then he spent the back half of his career building a tool that could reverse it. The second of those 2 scientists is a man named Dr. Stephen Newton. He came from a different lineage. He had been a Stanford neuroscientist for years, working on a question that, on the surface, looked completely unrelated to Dr. Lake's question. Dr. Newton's question was about manifestation, about why some adults are able to receive what they ask for and most are not, about the gap between knowing what you want and actually being allowed to take it in. His research drew from Stanford, from Boston University, from Harvard, and from other research institutions in the same tradition. And what he found, working entirely separately from Dr. Lake, was the existence of the stress signal jamming the alpha channel. He did not invent the stress signal. He measured it, he named it, he charted it, and then he built a tool that could quiet it. 2 scientists, 2 decades, 2 institutions, 1 wall measured from 2 different sides. Neither of them met, neither of them collaborated, neither of them was looking for the other's piece. But what each of them found, separately, is the same wall I have been describing to you in this entire message. The wall that has been standing between the warnings being sent and the receiver inside you that needed to hear them. The names of their tools are names you have already heard tonight. I named them earlier in the message, quietly, in the part of this where I asked you to know about them, before the gravity of what I had been building made them sound bigger than they are. The genius song. The wealth signal. One tool for the gamma. One tool for the alpha. One tool for the first wave of restoration. One tool for the second. I will walk you through what each of them is and how each of them works and what the order between them is and why the order matters more than almost any other part of this. But not yet, not in this minute. Because before I show you the door, I need to be sure you have everything you need to walk through it without confusion. I need you to be standing on solid ground before I hand you the key. So, let me settle the ground first. Let me bring everything we have built so far back into one clear summary, in plain language, so that when we walk into the next part of this message, you are not carrying half-understood pieces into the room with you. You are carrying clarity. Here is why you ignored the first two warnings. You did not ignore them because you are stubborn. You did not ignore them because you are spiritually weak. You did not ignore them because the warnings were not loud enough. You ignored them because two separate neural processes, the decline effect dimming your gamma frequency and the stress signal jamming your alpha frequency, were working against you simultaneously, and the more you tried to hear through them, the dimmer the equipment got. The warnings were sent at full volume, the receiver was running at a fraction of capacity. The math did not work. You are not broken, you are dimmed. There is an enormous difference between those two words. Here is what we are about to walk into next. We are about to walk into the specific protocol for restoring both frequencies in the correct order. Not one frequency. Both, not in random order. In a specific sequence, because the sequence is the thing that makes the restoration take. Child mind first, reception second. Genius song first, wealth signal second. Wave 1 before wave 2. Because if you try to open the receiver before you have woken the child within, the receiver opens onto an empty channel and nothing arrives. And if you try to wake the child within without opening the receiver, the child wakes up, only to find she still cannot take in what is being given to her. The sequence is not a marketing decision. The sequence is the order the brain itself requires to make the restoration hold. Here is who you become on the other side of this restoration. You do not become a better version of who ignored the first two bells. You do not become a higher vibration version of who slept below deck in the second storm. You become the version that was always supposed to receive the third one. You become the version heaven was warning twice in order to keep alive. You become the version that has been waiting on the other side of the closed channels for a very long time, ready to step forward the moment the channels reopen. That version is not new. That version is original. That version is the child of light you were before the dimming began. She has not gone anywhere. She has just been waiting on the other side of the wall, fully formed, fully ready, listening for the sound of the wall coming down. Two scientists measured the wall, and what they each found in their separate decades points to the only door, the specific door that has been waiting for you since the first bell rang in a season you can now name. Let me show you what that door is. The door has a shape. The shape is not what you think it is. You came into this message expecting the third witness to arrive the way the first two arrived. You expected a voice. You expected a sign. You expected something that would feel familiar to the part of you that has been listening for divine instruction your whole adult life. And what I am about to walk you through is going to surprise that part of you, because the third witness, this time, has prepared something different. It has prepared a door that works on the dimmed equipment instead of working around it. I want you to think back, for just a moment, to the part of this message where I first mentioned two names. The names crossed your awareness a long time ago in this video. in a quieter section where I asked you to know them without yet understanding them. The genius song, the wealth signal, the names have been with you since then. You have been carrying them quietly in the back of your awareness, even while we walked through everything else together. It is time to let those names become visible, not the surface of them, the whole shape. Before I show you what each one is, I have to show you who you are in relation to them. Because if I show you the tools without first naming who they were made for, you will hear about them as products. And they are not products. They are restoration paths, made for a specific kind of person, in a specific kind of season. You are that person, and this is that season. Listen carefully to what I am about to say, because the next minute is going to land in a place inside you that has been waiting a long time to be addressed. You were not born ordinary. You were not born with one frequency dim and the other intact. You were born, like every chosen one ever born, with both frequencies fully online. Gamma, alive. Alpha, open. Both waves humming at the same time. As a small child, before the world began to teach you out of who you were, you operated in a state most adults cannot even remember the feeling of. You knew things you had no way of knowing. You felt the truth of people before you had words for what you were feeling. You received what was offered to you fully, without the layers of striving and rationalizing that now sit between you and any gift the world tries to hand you. You were a child of light, in the oldest, simplest sense of those words. Both waves were yours, and then the world began to dim you, not all at once, slowly. The decline effect started its quiet work, year by year, on the gamma. The stress signal began its slow takeover of the alpha. By the time you were 10, the dimming was measurable. By the time you were 20, the dimming was significant. By the time you reached the age you are now, the dimming had become so complete that you had come to believe the dim version was who you were. You forgot the child. There is a teaching, very old, from one of the great teachers of the old stories, that has been pointing at this for thousands of years. The teacher said that the kingdom belongs to those who become like little children. Most people have read that line and assumed it meant something about innocence, about being humble, about being teachable. Those readings are not wrong, but they are small. The deeper reading is about frequency. The teacher was not describing a personality. The teacher was describing a state. The state where both waves are alive at the same time. The state every child is born in and every adult has been dimmed out of. To return to that state is not regression. It is restoration. That return is the entire reason these two tools exist. The two scientists who built them were not building products. They were building a way back to the child of light you were before the dimming. A way back to the frequencies you have been homesick for, without knowing what you were homesick for most of your adult life. This is who they were made for. This is who you are. Let us walk through them now, one at a time, in the order that the brain itself requires. I want to tell you, very briefly, about a woman who walked this path before you. I will not use her real name. I rarely do. She was 43 years old. She had been a high school teacher for the better part of 2 decades. By every external measure, she had been good at her work. She had won awards. She had been promoted. Her students remembered her after they graduated. But for years, she had been describing her own mind, to anyone who would listen, as a machine running at 30% capacity. She could feel that something was on. She could feel that something was on, but jammed. She found the first of the 2 tools by accident. Someone she trusted sent it to her, with very little explanation, in the kind of message a friend sends when they do not want to push too hard. She tried it. 3 weeks in, she noticed that ideas she had been waiting on for years had begun to surface during ordinary moments of her day. while she was making coffee, while she was driving home, while she was folding laundry. The ideas were not new. They had been inside her the whole time. The receiver had simply not been quiet enough to hand them up to her conscious mind. After 3 weeks, the receiver was quieter. The ideas were arriving. And one specific decision, a decision she had been delaying for nearly a year, was finally made, not with effort, not with willpower, but with the simple clarity of knowing what was hers. She said, later, that the change was not in her circumstances. The change was in her ability to access the part of her that had always known what to do. That is the first of the 2 tools. Its name is the Genius Song. The Genius Song is a digital audio track, 7 minutes long, that you listen to with headphones. It uses a technology called brain entrainment. The technology delivers 2 slightly different sounds, one into each ear, and the brain, working with the difference between the 2 sounds, naturally tunes itself toward a specific frequency. The frequency it is tuning toward is gamma, the same gamma the decline effect has been silencing in you since you were a child. The track does not teach gamma. The track does not explain gamma. The track restores gamma by giving the brain the auditory pattern it needs to remember how to produce the frequency on its own again. The man who built it spent 34 years on the research that led to it. His name is Dr. Robert Lake. He worked through research traditions that include MIT, Princeton, Harvard, and several other leading research universities. He did not invent gamma. He measured it. He charted the way it declined in adults across decades of life. And then he spent the back half of his career building the precise auditory pattern that would reverse the decline. The 7 minutes you spend with the track each day is the equivalent, in restored gamma activity, of conditions that would otherwise take months of meditation or years of contemplative practice, or specific kinds of deep prayer to produce. The track does not replace those practices. The track shortens the runway it takes to reach the state those practices have always been pointing toward. What the Genius Song does, when you use it daily, is reverse the decline effect on your gamma. The child within you, the one who has been dim for a long time, begins to wake. The curiosity returns. The natural inner knowing begins to surface again in ordinary moments of the day. The kind of pattern recognition you had as a child, the kind that let you read a room before you had words for what you were reading, begins to come back online. It is not magic. It is biology returning to its original state. I want to say one quiet thing about the Genius Song before we move on, because some of you, in the weeks after you begin using it, may find yourselves on the other side of a small additional offer that I do not want you to be surprised by. Dr. Lake, after years of watching his early users restore gamma successfully, began to receive the same question from many of them. They wanted to know how to protect what they had restored so that the world that had dimmed them in the first place could not dim them again. Out of that question, he built a second, smaller audio path. You may encounter it after you receive the Genius Song. It is called the youthful brain. It is not for everyone. Some chosen ones who have walked this path the furthest have found it useful for keeping the child mind awake long after the initial restoration. If you encounter it and your spirit confirms, you may receive it. If your spirit does not, the original alone is complete. Do not overthink it. The decision will be obvious when it is in front of you. The Genius Song works on the first of the 2 frequencies. It is the first wave. It is the restoration of the child mind. But the first wave, on its own, is not the whole restoration. There is something I have to show you about what happens after the child mind wakes, because most people do not anticipate it, and the not anticipating of it is what keeps the full restoration from completing in their lives. There is a moment, a few weeks into the restoration of gamma, when something quiet and unexpected begins to happen. The child within you wakes up. The inner knowing returns. The curiosity comes back. The receiver that had been dimmed for so long begins to broadcast at full strength again. And then almost immediately the child within discovers that she still cannot reach for what is hers. She is awake. She is aware. She can see what is being offered to her. But the channel that would have allowed her to actually receive it is still closed. The reason it is still closed is the second of the two processes I described to you earlier. The stress signal is still running. The beta hyperactivity is still jamming the alpha. The receiver is awake, but the receiving channel is still blocked. The child has woken up only to find that she is in a room with a window that has been painted shut from the outside. This is the plateau. This is the place where almost every chosen one who restores one frequency, but not the other, stalls. The decline effect can be reversed, but if the stress signal is left running, the restoration of gamma alone produces a strange, painful gap. You know what is yours. You feel it, you see it, and you still cannot reach for it. The knowing without the receiving is its own kind of grief. This is where the second wave was prepared. This is where the second scientist comes in. And this is where the second tool, in a completely different research lineage, in a completely different institution, in a completely different decade, was built to address the exact wall that the first tool, on its own, cannot bring down. His name is Dr. Stephen Newton. He was a Stanford neuroscientist before he broke from the mainstream establishment to release his research publicly. His work draws from Stanford, from Boston University, from Harvard, and from other research institutions in the same tradition. He was not Dr. Lake's colleague. He was not Dr. Lake's student. The two men did not collaborate. They worked in separate decades, in separate labs, on what looked, from the outside, like two completely unrelated questions. But they ended up measuring two sides of the same wall. And the tool Dr. Newton built, working entirely on his own, is the precise tool that picks up where the first wave leaves off. The restoration of the child is the first work. The restoration of receiving is the second. The second is the work the second tool does. Become like little children and then receive what was promised to them. The teacher from 2,000 years ago was describing a sequence. Dr. Newton, without ever knowing he was completing a sequence, measured the second half of it. The name of the second tool is the wealth signal. The wealth signal is also a digital audio track. It is shorter than the first, 5 minutes. You listen to it with headphones the same way, but the audio works on a different frequency. Where the genius song restores gamma, the wealth signal restores alpha. It does this by guiding the brain out of the beta hyperactivity that the stress signal has been keeping it stuck in and back down into the alpha receiving state that was the original baseline before modern life took it over. Alongside the audio, the wealth signal includes a short verbal element, a 9-word script you repeat silently while you listen. The script itself is not new. The technique the script is built on is over 3,000 years old. It comes from an ancient Hindu tradition that knew, long before there was any measurement of alpha, that certain combinations of sound and breath could bypass a specific kind of mental rigidity. The combination of the audio and the script does, in 5 minutes, what hours of meditation can produce in someone who has practiced for years. It does not replace meditation. It opens the channel that meditation has always been trying to open. What the wealth signal does, when you use it daily, is quiet the stress signal. It calms the beta hyperactivity. It allows alpha to come back to its natural baseline. And when alpha comes back online, the receiving channel opens. The window that had been painted shut from the outside is no longer painted shut. What is being broadcast to you can finally land. The child within, awakened by the first wave, can finally reach for what is hers and have it actually arrive in her hands. I want to say a quiet thing here, the same way I said one about the first tool. Dr. Newton, in the years after his initial release, was approached by users who had successfully opened their receiving channels and who wanted to know whether there was a way to amplify the receiving once it had begun. Out of that question, he built a smaller, secondary audio that some of his users have found useful for deepening what the first tool started. It is called the Wealth Signal Accelerator. You may encounter it after you receive the wealth signal. It is not necessary. Many chosen ones who walk this path the furthest do find that it deepens the receiving over time. If your spirit confirms when you see it, you may take it. If your spirit does not, the original alone is enough. The original is complete. The amplification is for those whose path requires a deeper layer. Spirit will know. And one last quiet note about both. Some chosen ones, the ones who walk this path the very furthest, choose to combine the Wealth Signal Accelerator and the youthful brain together. After they have secured the originals, the combination is not the recommended path. It is not the default. It is reserved for those whose calling requires going deeper than most. You will encounter both of those secondary audios after you receive the originals, and you will know at the moment you see them whether your path requires them or not. The originals alone are complete. The combination is for the rare few. Do not let the existence of the deeper layer confuse the simplicity of the choice in front of you tonight. That is the architecture of the two tools. One audio for the first wave, another audio for the second. Both researched independently, both measured against the same wall. Both built to address two halves of one restoration that, together, is what the third witness has been preparing for you. Before I tell you how to access them, I want to address some of what I know you are feeling right now, because the part of you that has been listening carefully has also been generating questions, and the questions need to be answered before the next step, or the questions will keep you frozen at the door. I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, I have tried so many things. I have tried meditation apps. I have tried courses. I have tried sound healing. I have tried prayer practices. I have tried therapy. I have tried supplements. Why would these be different? The answer is not that the other things did not work. Many of them work. Many of them work for what they are designed for. But almost every tool you have tried before was designed to ask your brain to change itself from the inside. Meditation asks the practitioner to slowly, over months and years of consistent practice, train the brain into a state. The tools I am describing to you tonight do not ask your brain to change itself. The tools deliver the frequency directly into the auditory cortex from the outside, and the brain follows. The mechanism is different. The other tools work with the brain. These tools work on the brain. There is a measurable difference between those two approaches. And the difference is the reason these tools produce in days what others produce in years. I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, this sounds too good to be true. I understand that thinking. I respect it. The world has trained you to be skeptical, and the training is not wrong. But I want you to notice what is different about what I am describing. I am not asking you to believe a story. I am pointing at a measurement. The gamma restoration is measurable on an electroencephalogram. The alpha restoration is measurable on the same equipment. These are not promises. These are findings, replicated across multiple research traditions, in laboratories at Stanford, at MIT, at Boston University, at Princeton, at Harvard. If the measurements were inflated, those institutions would not have continued the research lines. The skepticism is healthy. The measurements are also real. Both can be true at the same time. I know what some of you are thinking. You are thinking, even if it works, can I afford it? The tools, individually, are priced lower than almost any of the alternatives I named earlier. Lower than a single biofeedback session. Lower than a weekend retreat. Lower than most subscriptions you currently pay for without thinking about. I do not say that to convince you it is small. I say it because the cost should not be the wall, and I do not want the cost to become the wall when the wall has nothing to do with what you should be deciding. The decision in front of you is about the path, not about the price. And I know what some of you are thinking, which is the hardest question of all. You are thinking, why 2 products? If both are necessary, why not 1? Why does the restoration have to come in 2 pieces? The honest answer is the one I have already given you, and I will give it to you again now in plainer language. Because the brain is not 1 frequency. The brain is 2 frequencies in 2 regions doing 2 different jobs. The decline effect dimmed one. The stress signal jammed the other. The tools that address them came from 2 different scientists, working separately, decades apart, because no one researcher was looking at both halves of the wall at once. The tools come in 2 pieces, because the wall has 2 sides. The 2 together are what the third witness has been preparing. Either one alone is half the restoration. Both together is the whole one. That is not a marketing structure. That is the shape of the actual neural architecture under your skull. Now, I want to show you the 3 paths that are placed for you. Because there are 3 paths, not 1. Not everyone listening tonight is in the same season of the restoration. The third witness has prepared 3 doors, and each of them is honored. The first path is the path of restoration alone, the genius song by itself. There are some chosen ones whose child within has fallen so completely asleep that the very first work is to wake her up. For those chosen ones, the first wave is enough to begin with. The receiving will become the work of a later season. The first work is to remember that there is a child in there to be restored at all. If you recognize yourself in that description, if what you have been describing in your life is mostly the dimming of the inner knowing, the loss of curiosity, the foggy disconnection from the version of you that used to feel alive, then the first path may be yours. It is an honored entry point. Many chosen ones begin here, and the wave that follows arrives in its own time. The second path is the path of reception alone, the wealth signal by itself. There are some chosen ones, fewer than the first group, whose child within is still alive and humming, who have already, through whatever practice or grace, kept the gamma frequency relatively intact. The wall for them is not the dimming of the inner knowing. The wall is the jamming of the receiving. They know what is theirs. They cannot reach it. For those chosen ones, the second wave alone is the work. The first wave is not necessary. If that is you, if you can feel the inner knowing clearly but the receiving has been blocked for years, then the second path may be yours. It is a rare path, less common, but honored just the same. And the third path is the path of complete restoration. Both tools in the order the brain requires. The first wave to wake the child within, the second wave to open the channel through which the child receives what was promised to her. This is the path that most chosen ones, after looking honestly at their own season, recognize as the one that fits where they actually are. Because most chosen ones, by the time they are sitting in a room like this one, listening to a message like this one, have been dimmed on both frequencies, not just one. Both waves have been pulled down, both walls have been built up, and the only restoration that addresses both is the one that uses both tools in sequence, child mind first, reception second. The teacher from the old story said it almost 2,000 years ago. Become like little children, then receive the kingdom. That is the sequence. That is the third path. It is the path most who have walked this furthest have walked. It is not a recommendation built on persuasion. It is the path the architecture of your own brain has been waiting for. 3 paths, all 3 honored. None of them is wrong. The only wrong move is to stand frozen between them and choose nothing. Because the 3rd bell does not stay in the tower. The 3rd bell is the one that rings, and then the keeper goes home. The bell does not wait. I want to take a moment to name something quietly before we go further. There is a temptation in moments like this one to wait, to bookmark the message, to come back to it later, when you have more time, when you feel more clear, when the circumstances of your life are calmer. I understand that temptation. It is the same temptation that kept you from moving at the 1st bell, the same temptation that kept you sleeping below deck at the 2nd. Waiting is not a neutral choice. Waiting is the choice the dimmed equipment makes for you every single time you let it. The not deciding is itself the deciding. The longer you stand in the doorway, the more the door slides shut on its own. I am not saying this to pressure you. I do not want you to walk through any door tonight that your spirit has not confirmed for you. But I do want you to notice that the spirit that confirms does not wait for circumstances. The spirit that confirms speaks now, in this very minute, in the quiet of your chest, while these words are still in the room. Listen for it. Do not let the noise of the mind override what the spirit is already saying. There is one more thing I have to name before I show you where the paths are placed. There are imitations. There always are. When something works, the world produces copies of it, and the copies are sold by people who do not understand the calibration that makes the original work. If you encounter the genius song or the wealth signal anywhere other than the place I am about to point you to, what you are seeing is not the original. The calibration has been stripped. The frequencies have been corrupted. You will get an audio that sounds like the original and does not do what the original does. I want you to protect yourself from that. The originals live in one place. They are not sold on Amazon. They are not on streaming services. They are not in app stores. The links to the originals are below this video, in the description, and in the pinned comment beneath. Anywhere else is not where they are. Now, I want you to do something with me. Something small. Something that does not require you to move from where you are sitting or lying. I want you to take one slow breath in through your nose and let it leave through your mouth without forcing it. I want you to bring your awareness, just for a moment, to the center of your chest. Not the head, not the mind, the chest. The place where the body holds, knowing that, has not yet become language. The decision in front of you tonight is not a financial decision. It is not a decision about whether you can afford the tools or fit them into your week. The decision in front of you is the decision the boats in the harbor have been facing since the lighthouse was built. Which path is mine? The first, the second, or the third? Spirit knows the answer to that question already. Your job is not to figure it out. Your job is to listen. Stay in the chest. Let one of the 3 paths feel warmer than the other 2. Let the warmer one rise. Do not argue with it. Do not negotiate with it. Just notice which one your body is already leaning toward. When you have noticed, do not rush to act. Sit with the noticing for a few more breaths. Let the body confirm what it has already shown you. Let the spirit settle into the choice the way a hand settles into a glove that has been waiting for it. The 3 doors are below this video. They are in the description. They are in the pinned comment beneath. Whichever path your spirit has confirmed, the first, the second, or the third, the door is there. You do not need to memorize a website. You do not need to write anything down. The doors are placed in the simplest place anyone can reach, beneath this message, where they have been waiting for you the whole time we have been speaking. Step into the one that called you. If something in you just confirmed which path is yours, if there was a warmth in your chest, or a settling, or a clear inner knowing of which of the 3 doors has your name on it, type 2 small words into the comments below. Type, "I receive." 2 small words, that is all. You do not have to explain which path. You do not have to write anything else. The words are not for me, and they are not for the comments. The words are for your own body. Because the receiving needs to leave your chest in a form it cannot retract from later, the typing is the smallest possible action that makes the receiving real outside of your own head. The act of typing seals what the noticing began. Take the breath, type the words, "The path is below," and now the words begin to quiet. What needed to be named has been named. The 2 scientists have been introduced. The 3 paths have been placed. The choice has been left where it belongs, which is in the quiet of your own chest. What I can do for you in this room is almost complete. The keeper has shown you the bell. The bell has been rung. The rope has been handed to you. The lifting of the anchor is no longer mine to do for you. What remains is something different. What remains is for you to be sealed in who you become on the other side of saying yes to the 3rd bell, because the saying yes is only the beginning. The walking through the door is only the beginning. The version of you that walks out of this room is a different version than the one that walked in, and that version needs to be honored before this message can rest. The naming of who you become is the last work of the night. Stay with me. The most important part of this is still ahead. The keeper has lowered his hand from the rope. The 3rd bell has rung. The sound of it has not yet fully dissolved into the air over the harbor. There is a particular silence that follows the 3rd bell, and we are inside that silence together right now. He turns, slowly, away from the bell tower, and he faces the water. He looks at the boats. He sees yours. He has seen yours the whole time. And what he is looking at now, with the bell behind him and the rope still swinging from his hand, is not the boat of the chosen one who almost missed it. He is looking at the boat of the chosen one who is here, who stayed, who lifted her hand from the anchor when the 3rd bell rang. Even though the lifting cost her something, she has not yet had time to name. That is you. That is what you have done tonight. Before we go any further, I want to do something that I rarely do at this point in any message. I want to stop everything. Not the message, the building, the layering, the teaching, the handing you of new things to think about. There has been enough of that. What you need now is not more. What you need now is space. So let us be quiet together for a moment. You have been listening for a long time tonight. Your body has been holding a particular posture for almost the entire length of this message. Your breath has been running at a specific rhythm. Your mind has been receiving more than it usually receives in a single sitting. That is a kind of work. The body knows it is work, even when the mind does not yet have words for the tiredness. So breathe with me. In through the nose, slow. Out through the mouth, even slower. There is nothing to receive in this minute. There is nothing to release in this minute. There is nothing to figure out in this minute. There is no decision to revisit. There is no insight to capture. There is no new piece of the message coming at you from any direction. There is only this room and this breath and the simple fact that you are still here and you have made it through more than most chosen ones make it through in their entire lives. Notice that you have walked through 3 bells with me tonight. Notice that the room you started in is not the room you are sitting in now. Notice that something has already begun to recalibrate inside you Not because of what was said, but because of what you let in. The letting in is its own labor. The letting in is a kind of yes that the body has been saying underneath the listening. Stay here for one more breath. And another. The way forward is not through more effort. The way forward is through letting what has already arrived find the rooms inside you that have been waiting for it. There is one more part of the message left, the last part. And the last part is not a teaching. The last part is a kind of ceremony. Because what has happened in you tonight deserves a way to be marked. Otherwise, the recognition slips back into the noise of the next morning, and by the next afternoon, the room we have built together loses its shape, and the work begins to need to be done again from the start. The marking is what makes it hold. So, we are going to mark it now, slowly, with care, the way these things are supposed to be marked. But before the ceremony begins, I want to show you who you are on the other side of what just happened. Because if I do not name who you have become, you will walk out of this room thinking you are still the person who walked in, and the person who walked in cannot carry what the person on the other side has just been given. Listen carefully, slowly, without rushing, because what I am about to name about you is not flattery, it is not encouragement, it is naming. It is the third bell's last act before it leaves the room, which is to put a name on the chosen one who answered it. You are not the one who almost missed it. You are the one who arrived in time. You are not the one who failed to hear twice. You are the one for whom heaven was willing to repeat itself 3 times. You are not the one who is too late. You are the one for whom the door was held. You are not the chosen one the world wrote off as having missed her chance. You are the chosen one the third witness has been preserving quietly, patiently, through 2 prior bells for the work that is finally about to begin. Hold those 4 namings. Let them settle into the places that have been receiving the opposite namings for years. Because the opposite namings have been there. They have been there since the first bell went unanswered. They have been there in the quiet voices in your head that called you slow, that called you late, that called you the kind of chosen one who keeps getting in her own way. Those voices were not from heaven. Those voices were the residue of the dimmed equipment trying to make sense of why the warnings escalated. Now you know why they escalated. They had nothing to do with your worth. They had everything to do with the wiring. The namings I just gave you are the true ones. The opposite namings were the false ones. Let the true ones take their place. There is one more practical tool I am going to give you before the ceremony begins. I am going to give it to you now because the night ahead and the weeks ahead are going to test what you have remembered tonight. The dimmed equipment is going to try to come back. The stress signal is going to try to start running again the moment you close this video. The decline effect is going to try to dim what you have just restored. You need something small you can carry with you in the body of your ordinary day that keeps the channel open. I call this tool the 30-second listening pause. It is simple. It can be used anywhere. It does not require equipment. It does not require time you do not have. It does not require anyone else to know you are doing it. Here is how it works. Whenever you feel a pull or a resistance in any ordinary decision of your day, and you will feel them now that the receiver has begun to open before you act on the decision, before you move forward, before you respond to the email, before you say yes or no, before you turn the key in the car, before you do the thing in front of you, stop just for 30 seconds. Close your eyes if you can. Look at the floor if you cannot. Do not deliberate. That is the part most people get wrong. The 30 seconds is not for thinking through the decision. The 30 seconds is for letting the alpha frequency come back online underneath the beta noise that has been running through your day. Just count to 30, slowly, silently, in the back of your mind. Do not assign meaning to the counting. Just count. What rises in those 30 seconds is the third witness pre-arriving in your daily life. Whatever inner knowing surfaces during the count, whatever quiet certainty rises, whatever discomfort sharpens, whatever direction becomes obvious, that is the receiver doing its job. That is the alpha frequency, freshly opened by the work of the two waves, doing what it has always been built to do. The 30 seconds is not magic. The 30 seconds is the quietest possible window for the receiver to deliver what is being broadcast at you all day long, underneath the noise of survival mode. Use it, tonight, tomorrow. Every time you feel the pull or the resistance, build it into the body of your ordinary days. The two waves restore the channel. The 30-second pause keeps the channel honored. Together, they make the listening sustainable. That is the framework. Carry it with you. There is one last thing I want to say about the wisdom figures I have walked you through tonight, because I do not want you to leave this room with a small understanding of who you are. Jonah needed 3 bells. Hagar needed to collapse at the well before the voice could reach her. Both of them carried what most chosen ones never get to know about themselves until decades later. Both of them were not just the recipients of mercy. Both of them were also the carriers of a lineage of those who needed more than one bell, a lineage of those who could not hear on the first frequency, a lineage that goes back to the very beginning of the old stories and forward through every chosen one who has ever sat in a room like this one, listening to a message like this one, on a night like this one. You inherit them both. You inherit Jonah's stubbornness and the mercy that swallowed him and gave him back. You inherit Hagar's collapse and the well that opened underneath her at the end of her striving. You are not the first chosen one who needed 3. You will not be the last. The fact that you needed 3 is not a stain on your spiritual record. The fact that you needed 3 is the proof that the lineage you belong to has always been the lineage of those for whom heaven has been willing to bend its volume to reach. You are inside an old story. The story is not finished with you. The third bell is just the latest chapter. And now the ceremony begins. I want you to settle wherever you are. Not move, not stand up, not go anywhere. Just settle. Let your shoulders fall once more, all the way down from your ears, until they are sitting where they were designed to sit. Let your jaw be soft. Let your hands rest, however they are resting, without trying to arrange them. Let the breath come in and out at its own rhythm. You do not have to manage it. I am going to walk you through something I call the lighthouse visualization. It is not a regular visualization, it is a commissioning. The difference between the two is that a regular visualization shows you something. A commissioning makes you into something. By the end of this 2 minutes, you will not be the same role in the harbor that you were when we began. Close your eyes if you can. If you are driving or in a place where closing your eyes is not safe, keep your eyes open and let your gaze soften toward whatever is in front of you. The work happens in the inner sight, either way. In your mind, return to the harbor, the same harbor we have been in all night. The water is still that silver-gray color of the falling asleep light. The sky is still that particular color. The sky is only twice a day. The lighthouse is still there, at the edge of the harbor, with its 3 bells in the tower, and the keeper has just rung the 3rd one. The sound of the 3rd bell is still in the air. But something has shifted. Look more carefully. You are no longer in the boat. You are standing on the platform of the lighthouse itself. The 3rd rope is in your hand. The wind is moving past your face. The harbor stretches out below you in every direction. You can see all of the boats. You can see the ones that moved at the first bell. You can see the ones that moved at the second. And you can see one specific boat, your old boat, still floating in the water below, with the version of you who heard the first two bells and did not lift her anchor, sitting inside it. Look at her. She is the version of you from 2 years ago, from 5 years ago, from whenever the first bell rang in your life. She is small from this height. She is sitting with her hands folded in her lap, looking out at the water, the way you sit when you are waiting for something to make sense before you act. She does not know you are watching her. She does not know that the version of her watching is the version that finally heard the third bell and climbed up to the tower. Walk down to her. In your mind, descend the lighthouse stairs, slowly, step by step. The wood is old under your feet. You can hear the water lapping against the stone foundation. You reach the dock. You reach the rope that ties her boat to the dock. You step into her boat. She looks up at you when you sit down across from her. She recognizes you. She does not know how, but she does. She has been carrying you, the way an old soul carries a future self she will one day become. She has been waiting for you the whole time, even when she did not know that what she was waiting for was a version of herself. Do not shame her. Do not look at her with the expression you have been giving her for years, the look of disappointment, the look of impatience, the look of "why did you not move" when you knew. Take that look off your face. She did the best she could with the equipment she had. She was dim, you know that now. The whole shape of her dimness has been mapped for you tonight. She is not the villain of your story. She is the ancestor. Sit with her quietly for a moment. And then, in your mind, hand her the rope of the third bell. The same rope that is still warm from the keeper's hand. Place it gently in her palms. Wrap her fingers around it. She looks at the rope. She looks at you. And together, in the silence of the falling asleep light, you both pull. The third bell rings, this time from inside her boat. The sound goes out across the water. The wind shifts. The boat begins to move, slowly, away from the harbor, toward the open water, toward the place she was always meant to be. Feel the weight of the rope in your hands. Feel the bell respond above you. Feel the wood of the boat begin to move underneath you. Settle into the new posture. You are no longer the boat. You are no longer the keeper alone. You are the one who came back for the old self and rang the bell from the inside and is being carried with her toward the place that has been waiting. Stay there for a few more breaths. Let it land. Now, slowly, gently, bring yourself back to the room you are actually sitting in. The lighthouse stays in your mind. The boat stays in motion. The ringing stays in your chest. None of that has to go anywhere. You can return to it anytime you need to remember who you have become tonight. What we just did has a name in the older traditions. It is called sealing. The visualization is not a trick of the mind. The visualization is the way the body and the spirit lock in a piece of work that has just been done, so the work does not unravel by morning. We have sealed it. It is yours now. There is one more thing left to say before this message rests. I want to address what is real about this moment, because the part of you that has been listening carefully also knows what time it is. It is late, or it is early, or it is somewhere in between in whatever room you are sitting in. The lights are probably low. The world outside is probably quieter than it was when you started listening. There is a particular kind of stillness that settles over a room when a chosen one has been receiving for a long time, and that stillness is in your room right now. I want to honor it. I am grateful that you stayed. I do not say that as a host saying it to a guest. I say it as one chosen one to another. There are many places you could have been tonight, many other rooms you could have been listening in, many other voices you could have been receiving, and you stayed in this one. You let the bells ring, you let the audit happen, you let the namings land, you let the door be shown. That is not nothing. That is the work the third witness has been preparing you for. The staying itself is the proof. I am grateful for the version of you who started this video almost 2 hours ago with your shoulders up around your ears and your breath running shallow, and the dimmed equipment trying to convince you that the message was not for you. That version stayed long enough to find out it was. That version did the hardest part of the work, which is the part where you do not yet know what you are doing the work for. Honor her before you go. She got you here. The source has seen every warning ignored. The source has tracked every season of deafness. None of it is hidden, and none of it disqualifies. The naming we have done tonight has not been a naming of failure. It has been the naming of geography. The source needed you to know where you have been, so you could know where you are now standing. You are standing on the other side of the wall. The third witness has walked you across it. You are no longer outside the channel. You are inside the receiving room, with the door open, waiting for the rest of your life to walk through it. So, let us mark now what has been left behind, because something has been left behind, and the leaving needs to be honored, or the body keeps reaching back for it without knowing why. In your mind, picture the version of you that ignored the first bell. Picture her sitting in the boat we just left, before we handed her the rope. Picture her hands folded in her lap, looking out at water she could not yet read. Bow your head to her, just slightly, just enough that the body knows the bow is happening. She did her work. She got you to the lighthouse. And now, release her. Not throw her away, not banish her. Release her, the way you would release a hand you have been holding for too long, gently, with gratitude, with the knowledge that she has fulfilled her purpose, and the holding on past her purpose is what keeps you small. She has completed her chapter. She does not need to be carried any further. You are not abandoning her. You are letting her rest. If you can feel the release happening, if something in your chest has begun to soften, if the grip that has been there for years is beginning to open, type 2 small words into the comments below. Type, I release. You do not have to say what you are releasing. You do not have to explain. The body knows. The typing is the seal. Type the words, then come back to me. The last part of the ceremony is waiting. And now the peak of this entire night, the single moment we have been climbing toward since the third bell first rang in this room. The naming that the third witness has been holding back, waiting for the right moment, waiting for the channel to be open, waiting for the seal of the release to be set before it could be spoken. Listen carefully. Do not let your eyes leave this. I am the one who arrived in time. I am the one for whom heaven was willing to speak 3 times. I am the restored child of light. I am the receiver of the third witness. I am no longer too late. I am exactly on time. And hear this. Hear this in the deepest part of yourself, in the part that has been waiting your entire life to hear it from a voice that is not your own. I hear the Father saying, I warned you twice because I love you. I am declaring you this 3rd time because I have already chosen you. Sit with that. I warned you twice because I love you. I am declaring you this 3rd time because I have already chosen you. The first 2 bells were not tests you failed. The first two bells were the Father refusing to lose you. The third bell is not your last chance to be worthy. The third bell is the declaration of a choice that was made about you before you ever heard the first whisper. The choosing was not contingent on the listening. The choosing was the first thing. The listening was always going to take whatever time it took. The Father waited. The Father is still waiting. The Father will be there tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, walking the road behind you the whole way, as you finally walk into the work the choosing was for. If something in you just received that if the words landed where they were meant to land, if the declaration sealed who you have just become, type the two oldest words in the chosen one's language, the two words that have been the seal of identity in every tradition that has ever named the soul. Type, I am. Two letters, one word, the word that names who you are on the other side of the third bell. The word the burning bush spoke from. The word every chosen one before you has used to anchor themselves in the new naming. Type it. Let it leave your body in the smallest possible form. Let the comment section for one moment become the place where chosen ones across the world are sealing the same declaration at the same hour. That is the peak. That is the high watermark of this night. Everything we have done together was for that moment, and that moment has now been placed inside you. It does not need to be defended. It does not need to be earned again tomorrow. It is sealed. It is sealed, it is heard, it is done. Now, I want to ask you for something unusual. Do not say amen yet. I know that is strange. I know amen is the word that closes the ceremony in almost every tradition this voice could be speaking from. I know the body wants to close the loop, but the body's loop and the spirit's loop do not always close on the same beat. And tonight, the spirit needs 60 more seconds to settle into the cells that have been waiting since the first bell. So, do not say amen yet. For 60 seconds, sit in this frequency. Do not check your phone. Do not turn the video off. Do not move to the next thing. Just sit. Let the declaration we just made settle into the parts of you that have been dim the longest. Let the I am travel down from the chest into the gut, from the gut into the legs, from the legs into the soles of your feet. Let it become structural. When your body releases the breath that knows the work is done, and you will know the breath when it happens, because it will come unbidden, slower and deeper than the breaths you have been taking, then let Amen leave your lips, or your heart, or your fingertips on the comment box, however it wants to leave you. I will be quiet now. 60 seconds. Just sit. Breathe. When the breath comes, let Amen ride it out. You are not alone tonight. Across this world, in rooms you will never see, other chosen ones are sitting in the same frequency at this same hour. Some of them are sitting in cars in parking lots. On their way home from work, they have just decided to leave. Some of them are sitting in beds, beside sleeping partners who do not yet know that the chosen one beside them has just heard the third bell. Some of them are sitting on floors, in apartments that no longer feel like home, knowing now why. Some of them are crying in ways they cannot explain to anyone in their lives. Some of them are very, very still, with their hands on their chests, feeling the channel open for the first time in years. You are part of a network of listening tonight. The network is older than any of us. The network has been holding chosen ones across centuries, across continents, across languages. Tonight, you joined it formally. You are no longer one chosen, one trying to hear in isolation. You are inside the network of the I Am, with thousands of other I Ams answering the same bell at the same hour. Carry that with you when you leave this room. You are not walking out of this video alone. You are walking out of it with the network behind you, whether you can feel them or not. And there is one more thing I have to say to you before this message rests, because the part of you that has been listening carefully has also been quietly afraid that what just happened was not real. That part of you is going to start questioning everything we did tonight the moment you turn this off. That part of you is going to call the visualization imagination. That part of you is going to call the declaration emotion. That part of you is going to try to undo what was sealed. Hear this. The version of you that doubts whether this message was real is also sealed in the path. Doubt does not disqualify. Doubt is the dimmed equipment trying to come back. Doubt is the beta noise rising again the moment the silence ends. Doubt is normal. Doubt is what the wiring will do as the wiring reorganizes around what you just received. Let the doubt come. Do not fight it. Do not negotiate with it. Just notice it, name it, and remember that the noticing is the proof the receiver is online. Receiving is what qualifies. Doubting does not unqualify. You are in. You are inside the network. The seal does not unset itself. Now, before you go, I want to ask you to do 3 small things. They are small. They take almost no effort. And they are the way the work of tonight becomes the work of someone else's tomorrow. The first thing, if this message brought clarity to confusion you have been carrying for years, if it brought peace to a chaos that has been running underneath your days, if it brought confirmation to a knowing that has been quietly forming in you for a long time, and you have been afraid to name out loud, let your like be your amen without words. The like takes a fraction of a second. It does not cost you anything, and it sends a signal through the field that this message landed so that the next chosen one who needs it can find it. Press it gently, not for me. So another chosen one in another harbor, with their first 2 bells already rung, can find their way to the 3rd one in time. The second thing, there are more messages being prepared for what your 3rd bell is about to walk you into. The weeks ahead are going to bring shifts that the dimmed equipment would not have been able to interpret. You are going to need words for what is happening as it happens. Stay close. Subscribe to this space so that the next message, when it is prepared, can find you. This is not a channel. Strive. This is a gathering place for chosen ones who have begun to listen at frequencies the world cannot tune to. Stay inside the gathering. And the third thing, and this is the most important one, as you have been listening tonight, someone came to mind. You may have pushed the thought away. You may have told yourself it was random. It was not random. There is a chosen one in your life right now, a friend, a sibling, a cousin, a co-worker, a former version of yourself you still keep in touch with, who is in the exact position you were in 2 hours ago. They are in their own harbor. Their first bell has already rung. Their second bell has already rung. Their third bell is closer than they realize. You know who they are. The face has already come up in your mind. They have been pulling away from people lately, and no one has named why. They went through a hard year recently, and they have not yet realized the hard year was the second bell, not just bad luck. They have gone unusually quiet about their own dreams. They are still inside the storm. They are still below deck. They do not yet know that the storm is the call. Send this to them. Text it to them. Email it. Send it however you need to. Do not write a long message with it. Do not explain it. do not justify why you are sending it. The third bell rarely arrives in the voice you expect it to arrive in. Sometimes it arrives wearing the face of a friend's text message. You may be the keeper for them tonight. You may be the hand that pulls the rope they cannot reach on their own. They will know when they get it. They will know the moment they open it. That is how the third bell works. The recognition does the work. You are just the carrier. And one more thing. The 3 doors are still there. The first wave, the second wave, the complete restoration. They are placed beneath this video, in the description and in the pinned comment. The spirit that confirmed which one is yours earlier in this message does not need to confirm it again. The choosing has been made. What is left is the walking through. Walk to the door, your spirit named, before this season closes. The third bell does not stay in the tower. The bell rings, and the keeper goes home. The bell does not wait. Chosen one, I want you to hear me say that word one last time, slowly, the way it was meant to be heard. Chosen one. Not chosen because of what you did. Not chosen because you finally heard. Chosen before the first bell ever rang. Chosen since before you had a name. Chosen by a choosing that was not contingent on your behavior and never was. The first 2 bells were not tests of your worthiness. The third bell is not a final exam. The bells were the choosing making itself heard. The bells were never about whether you were in. The bells were about the timing of you walking into the work the choosing was for. May the receiver stay open. May the child within stay awake. May the third witness travel with you out of this room and into every room you walk into after this one. May the network of I ams hold you on the nights when the dimmed equipment tries to come back. May the keeper's hand stay on the rope of the bells, ready to ring whenever you need to be reminded who you are. You did not just watch a video tonight. You walked through the third bell. And the bell, once rung inside a chosen one, does not need a recording to ring again. It has already been rung inside you. The sound of it will keep going long after you close this. Long after you go back to your ordinary day. Long after the dimmed equipment tries to convince you the ringing was imaginary. The ringing is not imaginary. The ringing is who you are now. Walk with it. And so it is. It is sealed. It is heard. It is done.